Yo, what's up, guys? It's your boy Chris coming at you with another episode to the Beautiful Struggle podcast. And this is your first time tuning in. This is a personal development podcast and a business podcast all in one. And really, my purpose for this podcast is to empower you guys, the listeners, my audience, to live the life that you truly deserve. So if that sounds like something that's interesting to you and you want to tune into, we drop a new episode every single Monday. Sometimes I come on here, give you guys encouragement like I'm going to do today. And sometimes I bring on guests to share their story, bring on people that are really dominating in their industry and doing something very inspiring in their industry. Bring them on and let them share their story. So like I said, if that's something you want to tune into, please do me a huge favor. Subscribe on YouTube, subscribe to the podcast, leave a rating and review. That helps out tremendously with growing this podcast and for the podcast to reach more people. And lastly, if you guys want to get even more daily content, I post pretty much daily on my Instagram, which is at Beautiful Struggle Podcast on Instagram. That's at Beautiful Struggle Podcast. We release daily content on there as well to give you guys, get you guys going through the week, give you guys some free information, game, value, whatever you want to call it throughout the week. And with that being said, this episode that we're going to dive into today, I really don't know how long it's going to be. I want to say it's going to be a short one because what I'm about to speak about, I really want you guys to take action on. And so I was on Instagram the other day, and in the midst of all the racial injustice that's going on, the post was directly related to what is currently going on in America. And the post stated how people are acting currently right now, what they are doing right now is how they would have acted during segregation. And this had me thinking. It really, really had me thinking. And what that post is literally saying, like, if you're currently being outspoken, if you're out protesting, you're fighting for what you believe in, you're using your voice, maybe you're using your talents to create and fight against racial injustice, you probably would have been doing the same thing during segregation. Now, if you're out here, staying silent, maybe not educating yourself, not using your talents to fight against this pandemic that's going on, then, you're entitled to your opinion and what you want to do, then you probably would have been doing the same thing during segregation. And this really got me thinking. It got me thinking about a question that I really wanted to ask you guys and propose to you guys. And that question is, what do you want to be remembered for? What do you want to be remembered for? And I thought about this question not only in respect to the racial injustice that's going on in America currently, but also just in life in general. And when I ask you guys this question, I really encourage you guys not only to just think about it and ponder about it, but sit down and really write down what it is that you want to be remembered for. And I think it'd be really great for you guys to sit down, write it down, pen and paper. You guys know how I feel about that, writing things down physically, and really ask yourself, what do I want to be remembered for? Don't be afraid to dive deep with it, to ask yourself questions. This is not something that you need to share with anybody. You could if you want, but I know personally, I wrote my list last year in November, on November 20th. I still have it in my notes, haven't even touched it. I have a list of things, about a list of probably 15 things that I want to be remembered for. And I don't think I've literally shared it with anybody, but some of the things on the list that I wrote down just for you guys to just peek inside my brain is I want to be remembered for a God-fearing man. I want to be remembered for someone that was willing to give more than they were willing to take. I want to be remembered for someone that broke generational curses in their family. And I definitely want to be remembered for that person that created wealth, not only for themselves, but for other people. And when I talk about what do you want to be remembered for, I'm literally talking about when the game's over, when the dust settles and you are no longer physically on this earth, what is it that people will say about you? What is it that people will remember you for? What is it that you have done to contribute to society? Some people aspire to be famous. Some people, they want to go viral nowadays. They want the likes, the views. There's some people that want to be known for that guy that had all the exotic cars, all the exotic women, or the guy that was just full of fun and just always went to parties and whatnot. And for me personally, that wasn't enough for me. That wasn't deep enough for me to live. And if those are the things that you want to be known for, by all means, like I said earlier in the podcast, you're entitled to what you want and what you want to do in life. But for me, I know that my ancestors worked and did and sacrificed a lot more for me to be remembered for those things. I knew that my list had to be on point, it had to be on fire, because I know the ancestors that fought to come to this land and to be where I'm at now, to be in front of this camera talking to you guys as a free man. They did a lot. I know that there's the previous generation. There's some people that prayed very, very hard for me, and they want the best for me. They want to see me succeed. So the least I can do for them is make them proud. Not only make them proud, but be a man that stood for something. Not only stood for something, but wouldn't fall for just anything. Wouldn't just fall for anything in this society. And just to start to wrap this thing up, like I said, I wanted to make this thing brief. I wanted to make this episode very short, so you guys can take this information and start asking yourself these questions. Maybe even ask the people in your family these questions, and really just reflecting on the first half of 2020. Look, we don't have to beat the dead horse. We already know that it's been crazy. It's been madness. There's been a lot of negativity that's been going on, and it's to a point where we're almost accustomed to the negativity and the bad news. Like, we're expecting it. Like, when something else comes up, we're like, shoot, 2020, I seen that coming, or another killing, another shooting, or a famine going on in a third world country. It's like we're kind of expecting these things to happen. I really think it's a terrible way to think, because something else I want to be remembered for, that I want to be remembered for, that guy that rose out of 2020, despite everything that was going on, despite all the negativity, despite all the killings and the craziness that's going on in politics. I want to be remembered for the guy that rose out of 2020 and made 2020 the best year that he ever had. And I believe you can have the same situation as well. It just takes a little bit of changing your perspective of thinking, how you look at situation. And again, I just want to wrap this up with, what do you want to be remembered for? Think about it. When the dust settles, what do you want people to be saying about you? You ask athletes this questions all the time, and they're like, hey, I want to be remembered for as going down as the greatest player ever. I want to have the most rings. I want to be the best player that I can possibly be. What is it that you want to be remembered for? Take the time, rip out a piece of paper. It only takes 10-15 minutes. Write them down. And man, it's your boy Chris, and I'll catch y'all next week.